some close friends and your relationships and how they've changed?
Well, because we lived in a really small town, and we had a small school. We it was just I don't know, maybe 16, 17 kids, and so that was basically all you had for friends. My parents never would take me to visit friends or do anything like that. Anything that was inconvenient, they would not do. And every now and then, I could get my dad to take me with him when he got his hair cut, but we didn't. And the friends in our situation were really the Uncle Phil, who was a pervert, awful, terrible, filthy mouth person, so we hated being around him. We would hide and go, someplace. So we really didn't have any friends as kids, like local people. When we went to school, we weren't close to too many people. You'd have to drive for, I don't know, 8 miles or something like that to go. And so we didn't do that very often, because it was anything that was inconvenient, my parents would not do. So we didn't really have that kind of a situation like Grandpa did. We had my grandpa died early. My grandma died when I was maybe 11, and I was taking care of her. So it wasn't, and she didn't like me. My mom didn't like me, so that tells you something. And so I don't have anything as a childhood where you have, your friends at school were just your friends there. And there wasn't much outside activity. When we were sent to Rochester, you had a choice of going to Olympia, which had a better schooling, but was farther away than Rochester. So we ended up being bused from Little Rock to Rochester. And again, that made friendships pretty difficult. But I did have, when I was, I had activities all the time in various places. I was a cheerleader. I was active in certain places. So I would have to stay with various people, because otherwise it would be too much for any one family. And because I had these activities, I then visited these people, but we didn't form any really close relationships. Maybe Ruby Stout was somebody from Little Rock that I had spent time with, but it was hard. You couldn't get together with them. And when I got into high school, like in what would it be, in sophomore year, that's what I'm trying to say. In sophomore year, I formed a friendship with a couple of different girls. Wow. But we separated. When one of my best friends went to Olympia to school for junior and senior year, so I had activities, but it was difficult to have a long-term friendship because you were separated very far apart. So I don't remember as an adult, even that was tricky. I had I had some friends. My friend Darlene that I had in high school, I had her as a friend. And I had, can you think of, there was somebody else there, in there that I had as a friend. But again, I was involved with activities, and it wasn't necessarily what you would traditionally call a friendship. It was,
You were in leadership positions a lot.
yeah.
Pastor affects your friendships,
Yeah.
and also a teacher and counselor.
Yeah.
So that affects your friendship.
Yeah, it was a little dicey because if you're counseling somebody and you can be friends in a way, but then people want to be your friend, so, and you have to keep that kind of distance. So I didn't really, I was always dealing with people and helping people conversationally. I would guess the closest was Ruby, not Ruby, I'm sorry, was, oh gosh, the name went away. Darlene I stayed friends with, but she ended up not being a Christian and didn't like it and started doing, like having affairs and stuff like that. So I'm a Christian now, and that made it difficult to have any kind of a long-term relationship with her at that time. And then, like you said, when I started getting involved with, I don't know, people started asking me questions, or I don't know, I just end up talking to people all the time, it seemed like. I was a friend with Virginia Stout and Robbie Liskey, but both of them were difficult people, and it was difficult maintaining, and they didn't like to have fun. And I was always attracted to people who wanted to have fun. So it was not, I never had a real comfortable situation. And then when we moved down to where we were, I mean, I had 4 kids and a farm to deal with. I didn't really do friendships that much. I was always involved with people, but as far as a long-term friend, it was difficult. Darlene ended up having an affair with another friend, and then it just, stuff like that happened a lot. I didn't seek it, but it did. So I didn't have any really long-term friendships.
Friendships. In the first grade, when I started first grade, before first grade, most of my friends were fake grandparents. We had 2 neighbors that were grandparents to us, and so we would visit them and their family. But no other friends other than my cousin Freddie, and so that was all. But in first grade, that's my world opened up. There were over 30 of us that started first grade together, and
Yeah.
I've stayed in contact with at least 10 of them. I mean, now, and this is 70 years later. Just even this last weekend, we got together, and there was 7 of us that got together of our first grade class and told stories about each other. And then the people who didn't come, we told stories about them too. So those are some friendships. That's 1/3 of the first grade class that I'm in contact on a regular basis, and we meet together, and they're just like family. A lot of them spent time at our house. I spent time at their house. So we just know all the secrets, and so there's no pretense when we get together. It's just all out in the open. Later on, I didn't make any college friends, When I joined the fire department, there's another whole group of friends there. That's just like a family. And some of the crews I worked together with for over 20 years. And you get to know them and you help them on projects, they help you. And that was a group of people that I could always count on as friends. Right now, most of them have died already. So that's my friends now consist of my wife, my best friend forever, and a few people at Rotary I would call friends. Family is number one. I see my brothers on a regular basis. We call each other. My brother-in-law, Don Phillips, I've seen all of them in the last week. And so we are in contact with each other. If we have something happening that we can participate with, we do it. If somebody's going to cut down a tree, oh, let's show up. We'll help cut down the tree, that sort of a thing. And so the family is probably the biggest bunch of friends that we have.